Welcome back to another Kentucky Derby profile here on Racing Rundown. Today we're going to be talking about Charge It, the runner-up from the 2022 Florida Derby, one of two horses right now, at least as I'm recording this, in the Kentucky Derby for Todd Pletcher. Todd Pletcher could potentially have a third one if enough defections happen that puts Pioneer of Medina in the Kentucky Derby. But we're going to talk about Charge It right now, one of his two horses definitely in the Kentucky Derby right now. An interesting prospect to say the least. We're getting into his first career start, which was a maiden in January at Gulfstream, going a one-turn mile. Charge It's in the colors of Mandy Pope's Whisper Hill Farm right there. So I'm actually having trouble finding him myself right now. He's the 2 right now. So he's going to go out there and sit off of the 10 horse right there. I believe that's Volcanic for Mark Casse. And he's going to establish himself a good early position in this race, dueling up there on the front end. And I am correct. That is Volcanic. I do apologize for not having that. I don't have the chart in front of me. And Charge It was obviously well backed in his debut. There's a lot of reasons to like Charge It in terms of the pedigree. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But he's in a good position right now with Volcanic. I will say Volcanic is a horse who it points us on Racing Rundown. We liked him, and he has subsequently disappointed. So it wasn't as good as we thought he may have been here. But Charge It's actually going to lose this race as they're going into the far turn here. And we'll get into a lot of the greenness that Charge It shows throughout his career. But right now, he is sitting a good trip right now. Fractions are not overly terrible for him. I wonder if Pletcher just didn't have Charge It fully ready to go on debut here. But he is getting into a duel right now with Volcanic in his first start. So one thing that I will say about this is good. So he has had the experience of doing it before, and he's hanging in really well here. Volcanic just barely going to get the job done here by a long head there, probably actually a neck margin here. But Charge It ran a very credible race in his first career start, all things considered. Sure, would you have liked to see him win? Yeah, but it wasn't a terrible effort when you consider everything. Going on into his next start, which was another maiden going a mile at Gulfstream, another race in which he was very heavily backed in here. He was odds on in this race after that career debut, which was very good. He's breaking from the outside post here, so he does have to deal with some adversity here, but he's going to go to the front like he did in his last start. Establish himself early, and that's something that's been very important for Charge It in these first two races, getting himself in that good position early on, and just kind of the one criticism that you could have for these first two races is he's having it all his own way. But and I do apologize for the pause there. He is having things all his own way, but Charge It, this was a very, very popular maiden victory in terms of a lot of people were saying a lot of really big things about this horse. There's a lot of talk of potential stakes time or potential stake start for him, and all that fun stuff. And right now at this point, he's getting the run of this race. 24:47, a little bit faster than he ran the quarter there, but he has his own running in the race. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't really like him that much going into the Florida Derby, just to mention that a little bit, is because he did have things all his own way. But when he comes into the stretch, you're going to see why people really like Charge It, or really liked Charge It going into the Florida Derby, and why there's a lot of really positive things to say about him, because he's going to blow this field out of the water. Sure, he's not beating really any horses in this group of horses, but he's doing it the way you'd like to see a horse that has aspirations of graded stakes level and grade ones. He wins this race rather easily going away. And Todd Pletcher is going to take the Derby route with him. He tries to jump this horse up to grade one company in the Florida Derby. It was a very tough ask for him, given how much talent was in this Florida Derby field. And Charge It gave a good account of himself here in the Florida Derby. It wasn't a bad race for him by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll get into some of the reasons why you might be a little bit iffy about Charge It after the Florida, or at least considering the run in the Florida Derby. So right now, he's not going to go to the front like he did in his maiden races. Classic Causeway and Simplification, both graded stakes winners decide that they want to go out there, and that's fine. Charge It's able to get a good position inside of White Abarrio, rating off the speed of Strike Hard, Classic Causeway, and Simplification. And he's letting them go out there. They're not going overly fast here, but he's letting them go out there. He doesn't need to be up there with those horses. And actually, this pace is going to be to the detriment of both Classic Causeway and Simplification. Obviously, more so Classic Causeway. And I do have to correct myself there. That was not Strike Hard. That was Papa Cap. That was a mistake that not only myself, but the tote guy made the error on there. But he's in a position right now. He is moving around a little bit there, Charge. And we'll get into his movements in the race a little bit later, but sitting a good position right now. White Abarrio is getting first run on him, though, at this point. White Abarrio is moving a little bit earlier than Charge It, but Charge It's still moving well at this point, and at this race, it looks like he's going to run at least a credible effort. But now White Abarrio starting to get away from him. Simplification doesn't look bad, but looks like he's going to hang in here. But Charge is getting himself back towards where White Abarrio is, and he's wide at this point, which is something that it is very worth noting here. And that's obviously a good thing for him because he's never really had to deal with this before. Yeah, he was wide in his maiden race, but he was able to overcome that. The other thing is he's very green down the stretch here. He's all over the place. And that's the big thing with him. That's why he lost the Florida Derby, because as you can see, he's not running in a straight line. Some folks have said that he may have been better than White Abarrio, and if he had run in a straight line, he would have won the Florida Derby. I'm not too sure whether or not I buy into he was better than White Abarrio on the day, but it's certainly something that you look at with Charge It and say, yeah, that's something that you have to think about. The way that I choose to look at this with Charge It, though, is that was a very good race for education. And you can see it right now with my pros. I got to explain what I mean by that. I'm calling it a junior high run in the Florida Derby because Charge It was learning how to be a racehorse there. He got punched in the mouth for the first time. He had to deal with being in behind horses. He had to deal with being wide, and he was all over the place down the stretch. He was learning what it's like to have to come reel in horses in a horse race, and he hadn't done that before. And yeah, he didn't win the race, but it was a very beneficial race for him going forward. However, I'm going to wait for this. I'm going to wait to get into this a little bit later, but I just want to say I don't know that that's going to prepare him best for the Kentucky Derby. Other pros, obviously, he has a pedigree to go the distance, so that is a huge upside for him. And he's shown flashes. You don't break your maiden the way that Charge It broke his maiden and not have some talent there. There's definitely something there. And I said with him after the Florida Derby that he's going to be a really good summer horse because he's still learning how to be a racehorse. However, there are major cons with him. Obviously, the immaturity was a thing. You saw how all over the place he was in the Florida Derby. History is another major thing with Charge It. And I'm not going to go into this because I've already done it with Taiba. But if I'm iffy on Taiba, I'm much more iffy on Charge It. Charge It is the mold that just about every other non-justified horse that didn't start at 2 is. He has flashes of greatness and real quality in him, but he's still trying to figure things out. He's still learning, and I don't know that that's going to benefit him going into the Kentucky Derby. And the other thing that's a negative for him is Todd Pletcher's Derby record. Todd Pletcher has a reputation of running just about any horse he can get into the Derby starting gate running in the Derby. Todd Pletcher is very rarely going to not run a horse in the Kentucky Derby because they don't have a chance to win. That horse will still run. There's a reason why Pletcher's Derby record is 2 for 61, and that's not to take a slight at the man. I know the man can train, but that's just the way the numbers bear it out. Todd Pletcher's Derby record, if Steve Asmussen had a Derby win, then Todd Pletcher would have the worst Derby record of any trainer, but that's beside the point. The point is with Charge It, there's a lot of positives for him, but I think that Charge It's a horse that's going to be better for the summer Jim Dandy Travers than the Derby right now. As I said, he's still learning how to run. He's going to be a good racehorse. We just have to wait for the time when Charge It is going to be at his best, and that's not the Kentucky Derby time. I can see him being a wise guy horse Derby week, and there's plenty of upside with him. I don't know where the public is going to flow, so you could get a good price on him Derby week. And if you get a good price on him, throw a show wager on him because he's got some talent. But that is purely dependent on where the money's going and all that stuff. And I just don't think, I'm going to go back to something that I said. If I don't think Taiba can do this, and Taiba has won 2 races up to this point, I don't think Charge It can do it because Charge It has shown a lot more greenness than Taiba has. And I've said Taiba needs to be Justify-esque to win the Kentucky Derby. Charge It, I don't think Charge It can be Justify S. I think Taiba can. I don't think Charge It can. And like I said, that's not because I don't think Charge It has talent. I just don't think he's ready for the Kentucky Derby yet. With that being mentioned, that's it for this profile. We will see you for our subsequent Kentucky Derby profiles. If you haven't checked out our playlist of our Kentucky Derby profiles, be sure to check that down below in the description. We'll see you then. Have a good one.